Good morning, everybody. Let me start with asking you a few questions. How was your experience when you applied for your NEET examination? The amount of certificates, the caste certificate, the income certificate, attestation, so on and so forth. Was it good? Repeated forms. It was as tough as preparing for your NEET exams. I want you to also visualize. I would want you to just close your eyes for a second. Here is Lakshmi holding a small baby in hand and some tethered file in her hand, walking around table to table. She is fighting for her child's livelihood. She is fighting for a birth certificate that is required to get a child admitted in school. This you have seen, you have experienced. This is what was there in governance. Similarly, in one of the Janata Darshans, where the Honorable CM meets citizens, came up with the idea of hearing to the citizens as to what their grievances, and there he could see an old woman, a widow, standing in the queue for her widow pension, 800 rupees per month, all the way traveling 400 kilometers across the length and breadth of the state to meet the CM to say that your government procedures are complicated. Your government procedures are so tough for us to fill, and for this 800 rupees I have to come. I have to come 5 times and 5 man days of my employment is gone. Imagine farmer throwing tomatoes on the road. For a farmer, 3 to 4 months of hard work, sweat and blood, it's his child. And if he's throwing it on the road, a glut in the market, no market prices available to him, imagine that scenario. So friends, I am talking about the crisis of trust. I am talking about the citizen in a limbo. I am talking about farmers exploited. I am Manoj Rajan, 2 decades into public services, and I have been taught a strong lesson that technology is transformation and empathy with technology is the key for inclusivity, is the key for transparency, is the key for trust. So I will now try to talk to you on 6 stories which I have been part of in my journey in the government sector. I will be talking to you on these very 6 stories where technology is the engine and empathy is the compass. So if you look at this very slide, you will understand each one of you, let us say a decade back, at least your parents would have faced these very issues for a caste certificate, for an income certificate, for a trade certificate, bureaucratic delays. You keep filling forms and they say, come next, sir is not there, Saiburu illa, so on and so forth. Lack of transparency. You don't know when your service is going to be delivered. Citizen highly disconnected from the governance, the government which they have elected. And lastly, nobody to adopt technology. If you look at these points which I'm trying to tell you, you will come into those last 2 statements saying that citizens look to be ignorant, citizens are powerless because they are forced to bribe. They cannot get a birth certificate from anybody else other than the government officer. They cannot get an income certificate other than the government officer. They cannot get a trade license other than a government office. So they have nowhere to go, harassed table to table, harassed multiple times, and then they are forced to bribe. On the other side, you see the government servant, unaccountable, very powerful because he is the monopolistic person who can give you that service, and which is breeding corruption, which is also leading to barriers in good governance. So my friends, this is what government of Karnataka did. This is how technology has transformed and empathy was the compass. We then asked ourselves, what is it that we should do? We came up with this Sakala Act, Right to Citizen Services Act. So what is this Citizen Services Act? It prescribes a time for a particular services to deliver. It is not a single factory like Toyota where I have a single line and I have to produce cars. There are 99 heterogeneous departments in various forms servicing goods and services to the citizens. How many services? 1,100 odd services which are there. So how do you ensure at the government level that these heterogeneous services are delivered in a time-bound manner? Sakala in Kannada is in good time. So we started fixing each of these services in a prescribed time. We broke down the tasks into sub-tasks, made our government bureaucrats, officers, babus to fix in each of these time slots. So each person handling it at the desk 1, desk 2, field, so on and so forth. Everybody we prescribe the timeline, and If you don't deliver, if the government officer doesn't deliver within time, he or she can be compensated. He has to pay the citizen for that delay in services. So all this happened through technology as the backbone. You as a citizen, in fact, if you see 350 million people over the last decade are availed services under the Sakala. Can you imagine the number? 350 million people through various kinds of services under Sakala have been benefited, and their services were delivered 98% within the set time. This is what we call as citizen empowerment. This is what the impact has happened. And on this slide, you can see there are certain services. At your home, you can get those services, which business process re-engineering, we try to eliminate, we try to value add, we try to ask the citizen only once. So this is what Sakala came in place. Now to the farmer. I spoke to you about a farmer throwing tomatoes on the road. I told a farmer not satisfied with the price because he knows that there was no proper competition for his produce. For everything that you are holding, from a pen to a book to a shirt to a shoe or an iPhone, the producer decides the price. But in case of farmers, he takes the price. So that is what you can see, that the agriculture challenge, the Dr. M.S. Swaminathan made a very powerful statement saying that the farmers are at the mercy of the monsoons and markets. What did he mean? He said uncertainty, and specifically to price uncertainty. That means the farmer, after producing his produce, is not certain what price he is going to get. So with this decision, see the issues which I have identified there is markets were inefficient, markets are fragmented, you have a set of small suppliers, huge suppliers and small buyers who are there, cartels being formed, opaque bidding process, the farmer doesn't get a true price. What did the government do? The government then said technology is again the backbone. It said that we will now come up with something known as an online electronic market platform. We will redesign. So it was not just a platform. Here is where I'm saying empathy. We redesigned the markets, the APMC markets. In fact, we ensured competition. Erstwhile, 50 traders were participating in a market, but today you see 40,000 traders can participate in any markets of Karnataka. We broke that system of market-wise competition. We said statewide competition, and we went further to say nationwide competition. We brought out the single unified license. We started joining markets. If a farmer in Bellary is producing groundnut and a farmer in Chitradurga is producing groundnut, we said on the electronic platform, we will show groundnuts available in Karnataka for sale. So for a trader sitting in Bangalore can bid in Chitradurga or bid in Bellary, depending on the quality, depending on the size, volume, so on and so forth. So market integration was enabled by technology. The price discovery was transparent. The farmer can just drop his produce, go back to his home, and he will get a mobile SMS saying, this is the price you got for your commodity. There are 17 participants. This is the highest price. Do you want to sell or not? So price discovery was transparent. Information, we have now got huge analytics in place. The farmer gets to know what is the price even before making the journey. He will also see what is the likely price in the last year same time, so on and so forth. Information asymmetry was addressed. The electronic platform booked from Karnataka has got 51 lakh suppliers. That means if you look at Amazon worldwide, it has some 20 lakh odd suppliers. But whereas Karnataka's market has got 51 lakh suppliers, these are our farmers, and we got around 45,000 traders, and the turnover last year was 75,000 crore rupees. This is the amount of agriculture commodities that were sold on my electronic platform. This led to enhanced transparency. It leads to increased competition. We have simplified the market processes, and we have seen that economic justice, a free, fair price was available to our farmers. This is what technology did to the farmer. I'll come to the third point, disasters. In fact, last week you were all aware about Bangalore being flooded. Bigger to that is the statewide disasters. I've taken a data of 5 years, and onto the screen you can see that 5.4 million hectares of agricultural crops were destroyed. We had 4 subsequent floods in that period. Their crops have been destroyed. You can look, 2 lakh houses have been collapsed. Now you should have a system, you should have a technology that you can see that early warning is given. Speedy dispersal of so-called crop input subsidy, shelter camps have been there, good food has been provided, rescue rehabilitation to be done at the best. So what did we do? So if you look at Karnataka, we have got one of the states in the country which has got an real-time monitoring system where 6,500 telemetric rain gauges are spread across Karnataka and around 850 weather monitoring stations spread across Karnataka. So these 7,500 instruments in every 15 minutes interval, 96 times a day, 27 crore data points are received on my centralized server. Humanly impossible to digest this information. So we have put on a geospatial server the data which comes over here. I can give you Gram Panchayat wise wind speed, wind direction, humidity, so on and so forth. So this information which I have collected through these sensors, through technology, now is being disseminated to our farmers. So Varnamitra is our call center through which we reach out to 20 lakh farmers and they ask me livelihood questions. Sir, male bartada, is it going to rain today? Can I harvest my crop? Can I sow seeds? Can I apply pesticides? Do I have to do this ABCD? And all of this is answered by my call center. In fact, 20 lakh calls we answer every year, telling them what is the weather forecast for the next 72 hours. Based on this information, he or she farmer does a right decision on his agriculture or livelihood practices. Similarly, early warning systems, we have got lightning sensors. We can predict a ground to cloud to ground lightning in 20 minutes prior. So how do I communicate this to the field? So here is where we came out with multiple solutions, and one among it was a centralized disaster early warning system. So at a Gram Panchayat location, you have this system, and we will announce this at that very particular location that in your Gram Panchayat limit, there's a likely lightning to strike down. Next 20 minutes, do this, don't do this. Similarly, I can forecast rainfall, I can forecast your heat waves, I can forecast your COVID vaccines, so on and so forth. So that is the disaster early warning system technology at play. Lastly, the rapid relief, I spoke about 58 lakh farmer crops. The government gives something known as crop input subsidy. Previously, it was taking years for it and people used to come multiple times to the government offices. But today, in less than 1 month's time, we are sure that the farmer gets the crop input subsidy, that his crop has been destroyed, he can at least go for a second crop. And that is possible through technology, that we have got all the farmers' accounts, Aadhaar-enabled payment systems, and just by a click of button and survey number of that farmer, the money goes into his account. If you look at some of, because all of you are doctors here, some of the technology solutions, in fact, Dr. Manoj spoke about COVID and how doctors did. Let me tell you something on how technology helped you. In fact, if you look at that KPME app, Karnataka Private Medical Establishments, we got around which location, who is being treated for what, so that our COVID special teams can look into them. We tracked down all the pharma shops in the state, and we said if anybody is buying a prescription health drug, please inform us. Just take that person's name and the mobile number. My telemedicine will reach out to him or her. So this is technology in play. This is how we reached out to multiple people. Fever clinics, we established fever clinics across. So how much of consumables are there? Who came? How many of them diagnosed positive? How many diagnosed negative? So on and so forth. We had all these things. In fact, the readiness indicator with IISc, we opened an app. Now, if you want to say that Bowring Institute is ready to start its classes, they had to feed in n number of information, and then it will give you the COVID readiness score, and it will also suggest that, okay, your toilets are less, you need to sanitize, so on and so forth. So this is how technology in the back handle COVID management in the state of Karnataka. So this is what I would want to tell you, how technology as a backbone helped us handle a situation much more efficiently than otherwise would have been. I'm coming to the next part. I was a COE governance. You can look on the screen that the government has housing details, it has caste and income details, it has farmer land holding, it has so much of information. Why should it keep asking you again and again and again and again? So if an income certificate is there, if you passed your class 12, automatically in your bin, your certificate should be there. Your caste certificate, income certificate, so on and so forth should be available. So that is what Karnataka is the only state that we have got a social registry of 5.4 crore people into it. Based on this information, we do business process re-engineering. If today the government has to announce that people below so much income, I'm going to give this, it is going to help in making such decisions. In fact, if you look at the 5 Shakti Yojanas, the guarantees which the government gave, the same very data helped us roll out in 2 months' time. Otherwise, it would have been humanly impossible to give such kind of data. So single source of truth and ask only once. So this is what was the essence of technology in this Kutumba platform. Similarly, for farmers, we've got the fruits database where the entire farmer's land record, that is Bhumi records, plus what benefits he or she is getting. And then, lastly but not least, we get to know which farmer repeatedly is getting a benefit and which farmer is not getting a benefit. So we reach out proactively to that person. So this is on elections over here. In fact, the electoral rolls which were maintained in Fox Pro, in Excel sheets, in PDFs, we were the first state to do this. We brought in the electoral roll management system that today you are sitting at your home and you can get your name enrolled. You are sitting and then change of address you can put it. So we brought the electoral roll management system. So this standardized the electoral rolls in the country, and not only that, through to a fuzzy logic, we removed, deduplicated around 50 lakh duplicate names or dead names that were not supposed to be in the electoral rolls. So that is how technology was used. The C-Vigil app is another example where we involve people, where we said that people can sit and then participate in the electoral process, saying that a model code of conduct violation is there, here is a person bribing, here is a person who's giving an talk which is not supposed to be a threatening call out over here, so on and so forth. Technology was used such that that data was geo-stamped and sent to the election authorities to work on. So this is what I'm trying to tell you, that starting from elections to elephants. In fact, currently I am the additional principal chief conservator of forest in charge of elephants. Karnataka has the highest elephant population in the country. 20% of Asian elephants is in Karnataka state, around 6,500 elephants. But here is where you can look at the conflicts between elephants and human beings, right? The reasons are many. How do I address this? Again, technology, if you look at smart barriers, early detection of elephant movement, radio collaring, thermal drones. So multitude of technology has been adopted to see that we can track the animal before through AIs, early detect it and then communicate to our community to say that elephant movement is here, please be careful. So the point is how technology across has been adopted is my intention of making this presentation to you all guys. And here, this is the evolution of governance models. If you look at the traditional governance, which I explained, Lakshmi going into multiple offices, multiple tables to get a birth certificate, to e-governance era, to mobile governance, and in digital governance, now we are at doorstep governance, that Lakshmi will get her birth certificate of her child the moment she is discharged after delivery. So that is what technology has brought into, to see that services are delivered out over here. So now, with all what I have said is what I have traversed along in the last decade on using technology in governance, bringing empathy into technology and seeing solving problems out over here. The challenges are many. As we embrace tech governance, we must also address the digital divide, data privacy, ethics and inclusive design. I am asking you, what will you give to your world in your sphere of activities? So you should be looking at what is your contribution towards society. Lastly but not least, I would want to make this ending statement because all of you, in fact, somebody asked me about a rat race earlier. So you're all going to be in this mode. So these points is what I want to tell you, young friends, that build mental resilience. That is very important. Your sleep matters. It is your reset button. A 20-minute nap. Don't deprive yourself of sleep. Smart fuel choices, not on junk food. Look at healthy snacks and water always. Movement breaks. So 15 to 20 minutes. So this is what I wanted to end with this conclusive statement. That technology enables efficiency, transparency, whereas empathy transforms understanding the citizen needs, building genuine trust, leaving no one behind. So thank you all.